What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And today it's time for our Q&A. I'm going to split it up in two parts, so the video won't be too long. So there will be two videos, part 1 and part 2. So let's get started. The first question by The World Turning. He asks, which kind of exercises make the back thick? I love a 3D back, but I don't know which kind of exercises are suitable for back thickness. Well, generally speaking, for back thickness you want to do rowing movements. You have two types of movements for back. You have pull downs and you have rowing. Pull downs are generally for the width, for the V taper, and rowing is for the thickness. So barbell rows, T-bar rows, dumbbell rows, seated rows. But there are also hybrid exercises such as the V-bar pull down, which is a narrow grip. You pull it down like this, but as you can see it's kind of like a row because you pull it down under an angle. You don't pull it down straight, so that works both the width and the thickness. But if you really want to work on the thickness, do all the rowing exercises I mentioned, especially the good old basic ones such as the barbell rows, the T-bar rows, and stuff like that. Next question by Robert Blacks here. Interesting. Hey buddy, thanks for answering my question, helps a lot. I thought I heard you say you were gonna be competing again maybe this year. If so, are you gonna compete in the States? And my lifting question is, well, let me answer that one first. Yes, I will be doing a competition. It will actually be in Europe this year, but next year there is a very possible chance that I will be competing in the USA. It just depends on how good I will do at my upcoming competition, but a lot more information about that very soon. About his lifting question. I work hard in the gym religiously 3 times a week, sometimes to the point where I feel nauseated, but I've always heard that when you work out you should feel sore the next day. I rarely am. I notice some small changes but hardly sore. Am I not doing it right? Well, there are two things happening right there. The reason why you feel nauseated could be because you simply haven't eaten enough, or the time in between your last meal and the workout is too long and your body is simply craving for nutrients. In evolution, your body is basically telling you signs. If you do hard work, hey, stop right now, you're burning energy and we don't have that much energy to spend. And being nauseous is one of those signs. And in terms of not feeling sore, don't worry about it. There are ways to feel sore by changing up your entire routine, but even then, it doesn't even necessarily have to happen. I haven't felt sore in the last couple of weeks, at least not that much. Only, for example, when I do legs. I actually did legs yesterday, and right now I don't really feel anything, except when I do a bodyweight squat. Then I do feel some muscle ache deep inside the muscle tissue, but other than that I don't feel much. But I do definitely make gains, so don't worry. Being sore is not really a way to tell if your workout is done right or if you worked out hard enough. Just make sure that every once in a while you change up the exercises. If you are plateauing, for example, at the bench press, start with the incline bench press next time instead of the flat bench press. Stuff like that. Next question by Cedric Gunter. Will there be any difference in fat loss when two exactly the same persons both eat in the same caloric deficit, but one person eats lower quality foods or does cardio fasted and the other person just after his training? Following the if it fits your macros principles, there would not be any difference, right? Well, I think you mean the comparison between someone who is doing who's dieting with pizzas, hamburgers, ice cream, but still maintaining a caloric intake below their maintenance so they lose weight, and someone who eats potatoes, rice, broccoli, chicken, stuff like that. Well, first of all, if it fits your macros, it works if you actually have some nutritional understanding of what you're doing. if you eat all those unhealthy foods every single day, you will miss key components that play a big role in muscle building and fat loss. You need the enzymes, you need the minerals, the vitamins. They all work together to make processes in your body happen. It's always very difficult to pinpoint exactly which deficit you get during which diet, but when you eat wholesome foods, the reason why you feel better eating them is because you get all these nutrients inside, and all the processes such as muscle building and fat loss happen. It's not just fat loss doesn't just occur at a steady state depending on just the calories. It also depends on a lot of other factors. Same with muscle growth. It doesn't depend solely on the protein, but also on certain minerals and vitamins that aid in the process of building the cell up or losing the fat in the cell. So it's a lot of different things that can play a role. And on top of that, you have the insulin response that is different to, for example, sweet potatoes with broccoli and chicken compared to a pizza. It's different, so the fat storage versus muscle building properties of those meals, even with the exact same macros, will be different. So keep that in mind. Always have a balanced diet. Every once in a while you can cheat, but don't do it too much, because you will only cheat yourself in the end. Next question by SOS. How can I calculate my basal metabolic rate? There are many calculators in the internet giving me different values. Can you recommend a good one or give any other tips? One that I like to use is the Harris and Benedict formula, but there's actually another one, and let me look it up right now. So the other one is called the Mifflin-St-Jeor equation, and this one actually is proven to be a little more accurate in some situations, but usually the Harris and Benedict formula also works just fine. The thing about these formulas is that even if you calculate them with the exact properties, your height, your sex, your weight, your body fat percentage, if some of these equations require that, your lean body mass, even if you get a number out of that with the exact values, it still doesn't represent what you truly burn. It's just a baseline, and from that line you have to work, weighing yourself every single week, seeing what weight fluctuations happen, because I have been doing the minor sports nutrition at my study that I do, and even the teachers there who have trained Olympic level athletes, they use these formulas, but they most often don't really take them literally, just as a baseline. What they like to do is just give them amount of calories and then see how their body reacts to it on a week-to-week basis by weighing them. And when you get to a point where they weigh the same on a week-to-week basis, then you know the maintenance levels, and from there you can work further. So, but if you want a rough estimation, the Harris and Benedict or the Mifflin-St-Jeor equation will do just fine. Next question by Eric K. in Dutch, but let me instantly translate it. Wesley, question for the Q&A. What do you think about the training style of Dorian Yates? As this is exactly the opposite compared to my high volume training style. That is an excellent question, because there are two Mr. Olympias, consecutive Mr. Olympias, who had drastically different training styles. You have Dorian Yates, who I believe only went to the gym 4 times a week, and his workouts were 45 minutes and were little sets, little volume, but very heavy weights. And then after him came Ronnie Coleman, who trained basically 6 times a week or every day of the week, and his workouts were 1 hour, 90 minutes, something like that, and he did a lot of volume. T-bar row, bent over row, deadlifts, biceps, you name it, a lot of sets, a lot of reps, and a lot of heavy weights. So both those techniques, both those training styles worked to make someone Mr. Olympia at the top of the bodybuilding level. So what is the explanation? It's body type. every single person responds differently to a workout. I personally respond the best to high volume training. It's not even that high. There are bodybuilders who train a lot with a lot more volume than me, but I like to be in the middle. I like to do a heavy weight and volume in the same workout. For example, when the bench press, I do 5 or 6 sets, so the first set will be the volume, but the last set will always be a heavy set to make sure that I actually get the progressive overload as well. But with a guy like Dorian Yates, the intensity level, which is the most important aspect about every workout, was extremely high. So then those muscles actually had a reason to respond and grew accordingly. So it's really individual dependent which training style suits you, because you have type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. Type 1 muscle fibers, they respond to higher volume. Type 2 muscle fibers respond to lower volume, and everyone has a mixture of these two fibers. For example, Usain Bolt has a lot of type 2 muscle fibers, and a marathon runner has a lot of type 1 muscle fibers, a sprinter and a marathon runner. A lot of people have a mixture of these two, and you gotta find out what works best for you. Next question by Kai Söderling, hopefully. What do you think about having 2 rest days in a row? Is one day enough for your body to recover? Thanks, I absolutely love your content. Cheers from Finland. Well, thank you for loving it. And of course you can have 2 rest days in a row if you feel like you need it. If after one day of resting you still don't really feel motivated to go to the gym, your mind just isn't there compared to how you felt the previous weeks, then take another day off, because usually your nervous system hasn't fully recovered yet. Your muscles may be fully recovered, but your nervous system, if you do a lot of heavy workouts, a lot of intensity, might actually need a little more recovery. So some people need 2 recovery days in a row sometimes. Take a weekend off, for example. Personally, I take 1 off day, usually a Wednesday, and 1 other off day on a Saturday. So I usually train 2 or 3 times in a row before I take a rest day, and for me that works perfectly. Next question by Daniel Casimir. Why do you need on average 3 more hours of sleep per night than Arnold? And this is directed at me. Arnold slept, he said, for 5 hours a night because he didn't want to waste his sleeping hours on the rest of the day, because he was doing acting, working out, going to school, etc. So he had a lot of stuff going on, of course, other than bodybuilding. I personally sleep at least 8 hours, so that is 3 hours above Arnold. The thing about Arnold, though, is that he had very VERY good genetics. I don't know if what he says is to be taken literally, but he says he worked out 5 hours. What? 5 hours a day. Some say 3 hours, some say 2 hours, but he says 5 hours. This could also be the cardio, 2 workout splits on one single day, which he usually did. So it's not 5 hours consecutive. It's obviously portioned up throughout the day, but still 5 hours is a lot. And this tells you that he recovers really well. So he probably didn't need that much sleep. But for us, the average guy, we surely do need all those hours of sleep if you want the maximum amount of gains. Okay guys, that were the questions for part 1. I'm going to do part 2 right after this video. So if you're interested, check it out. And don't forget to stay golden.